It wasn't that long ago that the conversation of money was seen as a bit of a forbidden subject. You might have had that awkward conversation about your salary with your boss, but for the most part, it's been something that we think a lot about to ourselves, but rarely take those thoughts anywhere else. But oh, how times have changed. Personal finance has gone from the fringe straight into the mainstream. Entrepreneurs have gone from the nerds in the library to the coolest kids on the playground. But the biggest shift of all is that people are now no longer scared to talk about their money.
How many of you grew up like I did? Not rich.
We now see conferences about money, online courses, and even YouTubers sharing their journey towards financial freedom. However, the place where most people start their journeys are with books. And I've read 42 of them, from The Richest Man in Babylon to Unshakable to Millionaire's Fastlane and even The Intelligent Investor. And whilst you can sit there and say that I don't really have much of a social life, and I'll probably agree with you, I've learned so much from reading these books, and the lessons that I'm about to share with you today may just change the way that you think about money as well. This is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it's one of the best-selling personal finance books ever written. First published in 1997 by the somewhat controversial Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is normally the first book that people turn to who are looking to improve their wealth, and for me, the story was pretty much the same. Now, when it comes to the book itself, Kiyosaki constantly relays the message of owning more assets than liabilities, and he claims it's the main reason as to why the rich actually get richer and the poor become more poor. He says that the key to financial freedom is to start making your money work for you instead of you having to work for your money. Now, for most of us, what we will do is head out to a job, or maybe we're self-employed, and on average, we spend around 40 hours every single week doing this. But what we are essentially doing is trading our time for money in return. Now, the main lesson that I took from Rich Dad, Poor Dad is that if I start acquiring assets like a rental property, a business, or maybe investments into the stock market, in the long run, my money would start working for me and it would start paying me an income without me really having to do anything for it. On top of that, I learned if I could reduce my liabilities like debts, mortgages, and maybe car payments, then eventually my assets would outweigh those liabilities and I would start growing my wealth almost on autopilot. For me, this is the absolute standout lesson from this book, and I don't think there is a book out there that explains this concept any clearer. Now, one thing that I do have to say about reading or listening to these non-fiction books is that whilst you may take in a lot of knowledge, the key is if you do not take action, then you might as well just go ahead and reread another Harry Potter. Which is why this next lesson was so important to me kickstarting my wealth creation journey, and it comes from the book Think and Grow Rich, written by Napoleon Hill. The main takeaway that I took from this book is that the difference between the average person that lives paycheck to paycheck throughout their life and that successful person that becomes financially free is the difference between actually taking action on the things that they want to do. One of the standout quotes from the book to me actually reads, "The starting point of all achievement is desire. Keep this constantly in mind. Weak desire brings weak results, just as a small fire makes a small amount of heat." Becoming wealthy is simply not something that is going to happen overnight, but I can guarantee you after reading these types of books that if you put in the time and dedication to grow your wealth and you make the right steps forward, if you look back in 10 years' time, I can almost guarantee you that you will be in a stronger financial position than you were today. And that leads us a nice segment into my next lesson that I took away from these books, and that is becoming wealthy isn't going to be a one-time event. You're not just going to go to bed, wake up the next day, and you are all of a sudden rich. Well, unless you win the lottery, of course. It's going to take multiple steps and over long periods of time. This lesson comes from the book Millionaire Fastlane, and it was written by a guy called MJ DeMarco. Now, when it does come to getting rich quick, you can actually do that. However, if you wanted to build wealth over a sustained period of time and essentially become rich forever, then it's definitely not going to be something that just happens overnight. It's going to take time, dedication, and most importantly, commitment and actually taking action. Now, I cannot stress how many people that I come across in my everyday life after telling them that I make YouTube videos about money that tell me about their next big business idea, but when I see them a couple of years later and ask them about that idea, they never really started it because they either had one excuse or another. Which actually brings me to a section of the book that really hit home for me when it comes to my personal commitments, and it reads, "There's a profound difference between interest and commitment. Interest reads a book, commitment applies the book 50 times. Pay yourself first. This is another massive lesson, and it comes from one of the other all-time best-selling books, The Richest Man in Babylon. This book is one of the easier reads of the bunch with only 150 pages to take in, but the message couldn't be stronger. This book focuses on shifting the mentality of how we see our money, and the term paying yourself first is the forefront of that message. Now, when it comes to our money, the traditional way is to receive our income, spend what we want throughout the month, and then anything left over at the end, we normally save. However, The Richest Man in Babylon encourages us to flip that on its head and instead save our money first and then use the leftovers for our expenses. Mathematically, there should be no difference at all because we're simply just switching them around, but from a mindset point of view, the difference is absolutely massive. This is because if we were to go with that original way of spending and saving our money, let's say we got to the end of the month and we had a little bit left over in our bank account, we would tend to be a little bit more relaxed, let's say, with our spending. However, if we prioritize saving first and left ourselves with a limited amount of money for our expenses and our times to go out, then what we are doing is forcing ourselves to change our habits based on our financial goals. Essentially, what the book is telling us to do is to put investing in ourselves at the top of our priorities for when it comes to our finances. Which brings me to my next big takeaway from a book, and that is to start viewing our money as something that we like to call life energy. This comes from the book Your Money, Your Life by Vicky Robin, and it was suggested to me by one of my favorite YouTubers, Ali Abdaal, who claims the book changed his entire mindset around money. What Vicky talks about in the book is that instead of viewing money of this ambiguous object that we all seem to have viewed it throughout our entire lives, instead switch that up and view it as something that we call our life energy. For example, let's say you wanted to go ahead and buy a laptop, and that laptop cost you £1,000, and at the time you are earning £10 per hour, then what that is going to actually cost you is 100 hours worth of your life energy to buy that laptop. And by doing this, it's going to put a unique value on that product for you, because at the end of the day, that laptop is going to cost £1,000 for everybody that is looking to buy it. However, the value that it can bring to different people is going to differentiate depending on what their needs are. This was such a big wake-up call for me when it comes to valuing my money and my time, because whilst I have been pretty frugal with my money throughout my life, one thing I've always struggled with is actually how I spend it and spending it on the right things that are actually going to help me. However, this new mindset has helped me ditch the things that don't really help me out and instead bring in the things that actually bring value and purpose to my life. And that brings me to this video's sponsor. One thing I used to waste a lot of time doing was my accounting. I used to spend 30 hours every single week uploading invoices and checking bank statements to the point where I knew I needed to make a change. And this is where Awesome Accountants came in. These guys are a dedicated online accountant that will take care of your tax, VAT, reports and more. They work with entrepreneurs like myself and also have dedicated accountants for e-commerce businesses like Amazon FBA, Shopify and eBay. Now, if you wanted to work with Awesome, they are currently offering 2 months free accounting to anybody that registers a company with them, plus a free consultation call to make sure that they get the right package for you. All you need to do to sign up is go to christosfellas.com/awesome or click the link in the description down below. But having said that, let's get back to the video. When it comes to investing your money, keep it simple. This is a concept that you will find consistent across all of the great personal finance books, but the book for me that delivered this message across the best was The Boglehead's Guide to Investing. And when it does come to investing, I'm a bit of a boglehead myself. John C. Bogle is a legend of the investing world, and he also founded a company that you may be well aware of called Vanguard. He says that investing wasn't designed to be complicated, it's only Wall Street that makes you believe that it is, and one great quote from the book reads, "Wall Street wants you to believe that they are there to make money for you, but their true purpose is to make money from you." And if that's not enough, then go ahead and watch The Wolf of Wall Street. This is a biographical film that documents the life of Jordan Belfort, a Wall Street broker who made millions selling stocks to everyday people of companies that barely even existed. So keep it simple, buy those broadly diversified index funds, and if history does tell us anything, over the long term, we're likely going to make a lot of money. Now, whilst these are just the highlights from some of the books that I've read over the past 6 years, and I'll leave links to all of the books mentioned in this video down below, did you know that only 10% of people that actually read a book make it past the first chapter? Now, for me, that stat is absolutely insane, considering you're actually having to go out and purchase that book in the first place. And all I really want to say from this video is that if you are watching this video and you did find value from it and you did want to go ahead and grab one of these books from the link in the descriptions down below, then please do be part of that 10% that reads throughout the entire book, because every single one that I've spoken about today has so many more lessons. I have just picked out the highlights here, and they will bring you so much more value to your life, and they will definitely improve your finances. Now, before I read these books, I had a net worth of £0, and over the past 6 or 7 years, I have now grown that net worth to over 400,000. And if you wanted to see a video talking about exactly how I did that alongside reading these books, then make sure you go and check out this one here. But having said that, thanks for watching the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.